Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Kyra and today we are doing 4 looks, 1 palette with the Anastasia Beverly Hills Carli Bybel palette. If you're new to my channel or to these videos, welcome. In these videos, I like to take a new palette and do multiple looks and use every shade in the palette in order to bring to you a review. If you're not planning on buying this palette, congratulations on your willpower. But either way, I hope this video will bring to you some inspiration, some ideas, some feels for this upcoming winter and holiday seasons. And with all of that said, let's go ahead and get into the video.
Starting with look 1, going into the shade Chai, which is a matte light brown. Just placing this in the crease and diffusing this out as much as possible. Then going into the shade Bowie, which is a matte ash brown. This actually kind of looks green to me, and I think this does have a satin quality to it as well. And I'm just placing this all over the lid, all the way up to my crease, and just making sure there are no harsh edges. Then going back to the shade Chai, I'm using this shade to go ahead and blend out those edges even further and making everything homogeneous. Then going into the shade Cindy, which is a matte bright orange pressed pigment, which is not considered safe for use around the immediate eye area. I'm using this to blend out the transition shade. Then going into the shade My Angels, which is described as a metallic gold, I'm using glitter glue and then placing this in the very center of the lid. This is my half-ish attempt at a halo eye. I have a really hard time with halo eyes on my hooded eyes, but I actually really like the way this looks. And then going back into the shade Bowie, I'm just reinforcing the outer and inner corner of the lid, making sure we have a nice blend between the metallic and the matte shades. Then I'm taking the same shade on the lower lash line with an angled brush and putting this all the way across very faintly. Then going back into the shade Cindy, I am blending out the shade Bowie with Cindy and making sure everything is nice and diffused. Then going into the shade Bear, which is a matte beige, I would call it more of a cream shade, but who am I? Putting this on the inner corner and on the brow bone. Get ready for it. Here is the final look. I really love how this one turned out, and I did finish off the look with the NARS Audacious lipstick in the shade Tolade. And here is the look in natural lighting as always. I hope you enjoyed look number 1. Let's move on to the next one. Here we go with look 2. First going into the shade Bible, which is a matte reddish purple brown. I'm placing this into my transition and crease and really diffusing this out as much as possible. Then going into the shade Stev, which is a matte dark red. I actually think this comes off much more pink on the eyes, but that just could be that it's very diffused in this look. And I'm just gradually building this up, moving on to a more dense brush as I get more and more deep with this shade. Then going back to the shade Bible, I am blending out the edges with this transition shade that we used first. And then going into the shade Aura, which is a red pink shimmer, but first glitter glue, of course. And then I'm applying this with my finger here and OMG, this is such a pretty shade. It actually comes off quite a bit lighter on the eyes than in the pan. Then going back to the shade Stev, I am using this to line the lower lash line and doing a tiny little flick on the outer V of the eye and then reinforcing the outer part of the lid. Going back to the shade Bybel, I'm using this to smudge out Stev on the lower lash line. Then going into the shade Bowley, which is a metallic champagne shade, I'm using this on my inner corner and pulling that up into. Then going into the shade Bear, which is described as a matte beige, I am using this to highlight the arch of my brow. And here is the final look. I love this one. I finished off the look with NARS Velvet Matte Lip Pencil in the shade Damned. And here is the finished look in natural lighting. I don't usually wear pink on my eyes, but I do really love this. Starting off look number 3 with the shade Cindy, which is a matte bright orange, and I am just gradually building this up in the crease and transition area. Then going into the shade Chai, I am building this up on the outer part of the lid and up into the crease a little bit. And Chai and Cindy are pretty similar. Then going into the shade Bowie, which is a matte ash brown, tried to deepen up the look a little bit and place some on the lower lash line. Then going into the shade Moo, which is a metallic light gold, first applying glitter glue and then using the good old phalange to apply this all across my lid. Then going back into the shade Chai, I am just blending over the edges of the last shade, making sure we have a nice blend, as well as using this to blend out the shade Bowie on the lower lash line. Then taking the shade Bear, which is a matte beige, I'm using this to highlight the inner corner and pulling that up into the crease. And here is the final look. Nice and simple. I finished off the look with the Maybelline Superstay Matte Ink Crayon in the shade Live on the Edge. And I'm weird. And here is the look in natural lighting. I actually really loved how simple and easy this look was. Great for every day. Starting off the final look with the shade Bybel, which is the matte reddish purple brown shade, and concentrating this on the outer part of the crease and transition area. I'm just building this up very gradually. Then taking the shade Libra, which is a beautiful metallic goldish shade it's described as, but it actually looks more like a taupe to me. And I am placing this on about the outer third of the lid and then blending it in with the shade Bybel. Then going into the shade OA, which is a duochrome blue purple. I'm first applying glitter glue and then I'm going in with this beautiful duochrome shade with my phalange all over the lid. Then going into the shade Mandala, which is also a metallic duochrome light purple. I am applying this just on about the inner third of the lid, as well as pulling it up into the crease, and then intensifying that with my good old phalange, and then taking a pencil brush to wrap this same shade around the tear duct. Going back to the shade Libra, I'm just making sure to bring this down to the lower lash line as well as connecting it with the lid. Then going into the shade Bowie, which is a metallic champagne shade. I'm using this as a very inner corner highlight, again meshing it with Mandala and pulling it up into the crease. And then I took the same shade and applied it to the arch of my brow. Here is the final look. I love it. And I finished off the look with the L'Oreal Color Riche Shine. No, just Color Riche in the shade Saucy Mauve. And here is the look in natural lighting. This is legitimately my favorite look out of the four, but let me know what was yours.
Well, what did we think of the looks? Which one was your favorite? Let me know down below. I honestly can't pick a favorite out of these 4, 5 looks. I did do one look before this video, like a first impressions just on my own, so I will pop up a picture here for you. But overall, I love all of the looks that came out of this palette. I do think that the packaging is really beautiful, and I really appreciate that it's like this very slick, shiny material. Unlike a lot of other Anastasia palettes, this is going to be very easy to clean, and because it is predominantly white, I really appreciate that about the packaging. I love the mattes that are in here. My only gripe with the mattes is I do wish that this shade right here, which is Bowie, excuse me if you watch Carli and you know how all of these names are pronounced, I don't. So if I butcher it, I apologize. But Bowie right here, I just wish it was a teeny tiny bit darker. This is probably in your medium to dark range of mattes, but these three right here and this one are all kind of in that medium range. So this shade really doesn't darken up the look a whole bunch. But that being said, if the Anastasia formula or mattes or colors have intimidated you in the past, this might be a really good palette for you to pick up, because all of these mattes were extremely easy to work with and to blend. If you saw in the last look, which is this look, when I used the shade Bybel, it was amazingly easy to work with and blend out. I just pressed it into the outer part of my eye where I wanted the bulk of the pigment, little tiny blend, and it was perfect. In terms of the shimmer shades, I would say that we have a couple of different formulas in here. These three right here, so OA, Aura, and My Angels, are more of a glitter formula. Ultimately, I recommend a glitter glue. I use the NYX glitter primer as always. Even with the glitter glue, I did get a tiny bit of fallout with Aura. I didn't find that I have any fallout with OA, but I just applied this a few minutes ago. So we'll see how it goes throughout the day, and if anything changes, if I find that I have fallout, I will pin a comment down below for you guys. But these are stunning. Overall, I did prefer applying most of these shades with my phalange right here. I love this duochrome that I have kind of on the inner part of the eye and going upwards. I love when Anastasia does a duochrome, and this was no exception. Surprisingly, I loved this shade right here, which is Moo. I really appreciate that. I don't love all golds on my eyes, but this one was stunning. I just can't say enough good things about this palette. I will say this is probably the most user-friendly Anastasia palette that I own, and I owned most of them. Starting with Modern Renaissance, going all the way through now. The only ones I don't have are Riviera, Alyssa Edwards, and Jackie Aina, and I still want Jackie. I just wanted this one first. If I had to sum up this palette in one word, I would say cashmere, which may seem odd to you, but I just think of cashmere sweaters in winter and how a lot of cashmere is made in very light, soft, pastel kind of colors, and I think that this is going to be absolutely stunning for the cold months. Obviously, you could use this for any time. I also think it would make a beautiful spring palette, but I predominantly wanted this palette because it screams winter, cold, you know, it lights my life in light of the very cold weather that's coming to Colorado. I will say, and I'm sure you will hear other people review it in this way too, I don't know if this is Jode or Jody, and this shade OA, I have no idea what either of those names are or mean. They are somewhat similar in tone and in hue. However, Jode or Jody is more of a metallic, very smooth and buttery, whereas OA is that multi-chrome, multicolored glitter that I have over most of my lid today. I did use every single shade in this palette, and I actually think they're all appropriate. I don't mind that these two are similar. I can get a beautiful blue look with this one without the glitter look, and I can also go full on glam with this glitter shade right here. I didn't have any issues with staining or longevity with this palette. I did prime my eyes every single time with my Smashbox Photo Finish lid primer in light, and these lasted all day on my eyes, just like every other Anastasia palette that I have tried. And who do I think this is ideal for? Well, first of all, if this is something that is unique to your collection or shades or colors that you've been looking for, this might be for you. But also, I think this is a fantastic beginner palette if you're looking to get into the Anastasia formula. Like I said, if the other palettes scare you, if the pigments scare you, I do think that this is a little bit lighter on the pigment side. Like I said, just about all of the mattes in this palette are in that mid-range in terms of depth and in terms of pigment, and I actually really like that. I find this to be quite a bit quicker to use than a lot of other Anastasia palettes, for example, Subculture. I hope that this review was helpful to you in some way or another. Like I always say in my review videos, just because I am featuring this palette does not mean I am telling you to go out and buy this palette. Shop your stash, look within your collection, determine whether these are colors that you are missing or just things that are new and fun. Thank you so much for spending part of your day here with me today. I always appreciate each and every single one of you. If you're new to my channel, I hope you will consider subscribing before you leave. And with all of that said, I hope all of your makeup days are absolutely beautiful cashmere makeup days. And I will see you in my next video real soon.